Oh my god. How beautiful is that? Whoa, it looks like it's made of bubbles. That is not what I expected that to look like. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a fun, kind of silly video. It's dark, as it always is in winter, but it's just gotten so dark recently. So I'm filming at night, so that's why it kind of looks like I'm filming at night. But it's okay, you don't really need to see my face for this one because I thought it'd be fun to do another microscope video. If you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet, so if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, thank you so much for coming back, and I really hope you enjoy this video as well. Also, this is day something or other of Plantmas. I don't know what day it is anymore. They all just blend together. It's just dark all the time. Oh, anyways. Let's get into it. So I have my USB microscope here that I used to look for flat mites over on my Hoyas, as well as look at like general pests during the spooky season. So I thought it'd be fun just to look at like leaves in general, but I thought it'd be even more fun to make it a quiz, like a little quiz for all of you as we're doing it. So how it's gonna work is I am going to put my head up like tiny in the corner and then show you some like microscope footage of a plant, and without saying what it is, we're gonna like explore the plant with the microscope, and then you can put your guesses for all of them in the comments, and at the end I will reveal what they all are and you can see whether or not you got them right or wrong or whatever, and you can comment down below what your score was. So yeah, how's that sound? Shall we get into it? All right, let's do the first plant. So I'm gonna see how close I can get. Okay, that's really close. And I think this is gonna be a hard one just because of like the nature of these plants. So this is the leaf of the plant. So there might be a little bit of difference in color on different parts of the plant as well. Some lighter tones and darker tones. Some dust. I really hope I don't find pests. That's gonna be annoying for me if I find pests in this video, but I mean, it's always possible. But I'm just going along the surface of the leaf. But the surface looks pretty shiny. Like, do you see those different shine colors in there? So that's the edge of the leaf. We're zoomed out a bit now. So I don't know if that helps a little bit with the coloring. You can really see a stark difference there. Some splotchiness. Looks like a sort of central vein. Some lighter colors, lots of dust. Ew, look at all that dust. Here we are at the sort of stem connection. And then if we go on to like the main bit of the stem, this is what the stem looks like. See, it's a little bit furry, and there's like different tones of color in there. And then let's see if we can get some of the new growth. That might be a really big hint. So that is some new growth around the edge of the leaf, and I find that so interesting that it's hairy, and maybe you will as well, but I think that's the last clue I'm going to give you for this one. I feel like I might know from these clues, so maybe you do as well. So let's move on to number 2. So this is plant number 2, and no, that is not mealybug powder. Though it does kind of look like it, and it does scare me as if it were mealybug powder, but it's not. That's just how the leaf is. Very different for me. Not what you would normally expect, I don't think. So that's kind of a big clue as well. I mean, zooming out on this one doesn't really make loads of a difference. It's still fairly similar looking. Like a little bit of coloration, but I promise you that still is not mealybug. I'll do the underside of the leaf. The underside will look exactly the same. So that's the underside. Very big difference, as you can tell. It's exactly the same. So that there is where the leaf meets the stem, which again is very snowy looking almost. It looks like a very winter wonderland kind of vibe, which is very apt for Plantmas. But it looks like it's just covered in a layer of snow, which is kind of cool. Also, I'm gonna give you an additional clue. This plant has been in one of my like recent-ish videos. Like, it's been in the last month or so I've showed this plant. So maybe you'll know it, maybe you won't. But that was plant number 2. So this is plant number 3. I find this so fascinating. Like, why are there so many like little bubbles in the leaves? It almost looks like they're cells, but I don't think it is. Like, all of these tiny little circles. So fascinating. So there's a vein right there, and even that has like tiny little circles in it. See if we can get a bit of the color. Oh, does that change anything? I find that gorgeously interesting. That is a stunning plant. Like, it looks like artwork. It's so pretty. Oh my god. I love it. I can zoom out a little bit. I mean, I think it's slightly less pretty from this point. Because they looked kind of like, you know those rhinestone paintings? That's what it was looking like before, and this just, it doesn't quite have the same magnitude of sheen and shine. I mean, it's still gorgeous. Let me do the back of the leaf as well. Oh my god. How beautiful is that? I think that is stunning. So that's like the back vein of the plant. Oh my god. It's even more like marbly on the back, which is surprising to me. Oh, that's a predatory mite. Oh my god, that scared me to death. Yeah, that's a little speedy predatory mite. I'm not worried about that at all. Okay, good. Like, it looks like beadwork or something, which is crazy. Let me see if I can get the stem. So that's quite zoomed in. And again, another predatory mite, which is good. They scare me every time. Anytime I see something moving, I'm like, I have pests! So that terrifies me. But that's like quite zoomed in. You can see the coloring there. And even the stem has those little like beads on it, which is really cool. And if you zoom out a bit more, that's kind of what the node looks like. Which, don't know if that helps you or not, but that's what it looks like. I wonder if you'll be able to guess, but that is plant number 3. This is what's next. It's plant number 4. Whoa. This one, you really look like you could see it on like a cellular level. I understand that this is not cellular. And I think all of that is dust on it, which, I mean, probably means I need to dust my plants more, but ooh, that is pretty. Almost like pearlescent. It's so cool. I'm fascinated by this. And I'm having a lot of fun just snooping around my plants. Whoa. Oh, that is so cool. So this one doesn't really have prominent veins on the front that I can show you. So basically the whole leaf kind of just looks like this, which is like immensely fascinating, and I really, really like it. But I'm surprised there's so much texture on this leaf. Like, from looking at the leaf, you wouldn't think that it has this sort of texture to it, but it does. And it kind of makes sense, but it kind of doesn't at the same time. And I feel like when you know the answer, it'll be like, oh yeah, I like that, I get that. But unless you like know, it just feels very odd. I feel like that kind of gives a much bigger hint of what it is. But at the same time, it might be kind of difficult. Okay, let me flip the leaf over. Whoa. Whoa, it looks like it's made of bubbles. Oh my god. That's insane. And like they're all the same. That like it's almost like a crystalline structure, but a round crystalline structure. It's not like quite regular. Oh my goodness. That is so cool. Let me zoom out a little bit and see if it changes in the bigger. Okay, it doesn't look quite as impressive slightly further out. Oh, there's a vein. Don't know if that helps. Like, that's the leaf flesh, and that's the vein there. It kind of gets a lot more organized in sort of rows, which is very interesting, in my opinion. I think this is all, I feel like a scientist. I mean, I feel like this is a very scientific process what I'm doing, but it is cool. So that may or may not be an aerial root. Won't tell you. But it's a bit knobbly. And the stem isn't as shiny, but it's still got like kind of polka dots on it. Which you wouldn't see really with the naked eye. Zooming out a little bit more. That's kind of the node. You see a very clear node there. You could probably guess it at this point. I feel like it's not obvious, but it's like quite clear what it is here. So that's all you're gonna get for plant number 4. Exciting. I'm really enjoying this. I always enjoy playing with my microscope. So this is plant number 5. It's quite hard to get it to focus. And I feel like this is very misleading, the coloring. So remember my microscope has a torch on the end of it. And I feel like that's a little bit better. You're getting some like non-reflected bit up over to like the veins. Oh, whoa. It's like, it's almost iridescent and like holographic, like you can see the rainbows in there. I literally would never have expected that out of the veins of this plant. I think this one, where you're definitely going to get it, is on the backs of the leaves. I feel like they're quite distinct. So there's some obvious colors in there of the veining. And it gets greener and greener as you go towards more prominent veins. I don't know if that's a hint. I can zoom out a little bit. I feel like that's a very clear image of what the back of the leaf looks like under a microscope. Like, very much so this way. Without giving it away too much. I feel like this is as obvious as I can make it without like literally telling you the plant. So remember, this is the back of the leaf, not the front. That's gorgeous. So this one, the stem's kind of hard to get because the stem is not flat. There's some color there and some dust. But that's kind of what the bottom of the plant looks like, which I feel like is kind of a hint. There's some nodey things there. Very cracked, kind of like woody-ish stem at the very bottom. Interessante. Very, very interessante. So this next one I find very, very, very interesting. It's one I had wanted for a really long time. I'm just giving you hints at this point. But that's sort of the texture of the leaf. It's very like veiny. See that? And it has also the sort of like crystalline structure again. I feel like that's very common. I wouldn't have expected leaves to have this sort of crystalline-y texture to them. But this one's very, very small crystalline texture. There's some, oh, look at how clear that is. I love that. That's one of the veins. That's actually the center vein of the plant, which I feel like is kind of misleading in color. Like, not what you would expect. Maybe it's just reflecting the light, interestingly. Let me zoom out a little bit. This will give you a better... Wow. Yeah, it must have just been reflecting the light weird. Because that texture... Man, look at that texture. I love this. I think that's so cool. So that was the front of the leaf. This is the back of the leaf. Zoomed in very tight. This one also has that sort of bubbly, sort of back looking leaf. Very bubbly looking. Like it looks like someone's like a foam party, or like they've just blown a bunch of bubbles onto the back of the leaf. Which is very cool. And then going to the vein. That's the vein. You can tell like how linear it gets when you go to the vein, and then you go off of the vein and it goes very like bubbly again. That's so odd. This one I'm not going to be able to show you the stem. I don't think. Maybe I can show you the back further away. I don't think the back's going to help you much with this one. I think the front of the leaf is where you're going to get most of your details. I didn't quite realize like how see-through. So I think those dark spots, they're not actually dark. I think they're like clear, and you're seeing towards the top of the leaf, which is like, I was going to say surreal and strange at the same time. I was going to say strange. Surreal. But, oh, really cool. Some veining. Very pronounced, you can see, because it's not focusing on the vein at the same time as the back of the leaf. So that was 6. This one has a very, again, almost cellular. Are those the cells? Am I just being dumb? But like, look at that color, it's so deep. It's almost like black spots in places, which is cool. What's that? What's that? Oh, whoa. That is not what I expected that to look like. What? That is cool. Let's see if I can zoom out and get a couple in there. There we go. There's a couple there. Lots of them, actually. So there's a special texture kind of leaf. Unexpected. Like, I knew that's what it was, but it didn't quite think it looked like that close up. It almost looks like a hair coming out of your skin. How odd. So there's the vein. You can tell it's quite red compared to the very dark green of the leaf. And then the backs of the leaves. This is going to be interesting. Whoa. Like little ruby flowers or something. But there's a vein from the bottom. And it looks like there's like hairs on them as well. Yeah, they've got little hairs on them. You can zoom out a little bit. The back. It looks less like rubies far away. That scared me. I thought those were thrips for a second, but I think they're just like blemishes on the stem. There we go. That's a very good clear picture of the like hairs on the vein. I don't know how many of you know that I have this plant. Some people might, but others might not. Who knows? Who knows? So, plant number 8, I think we're on? Yeah, 8. There we go. That's a close-up of the texture of the leaf. As close as I can get it. Very green, if you couldn't tell. It's extremely green. And like very, very regular marbles on it. Ooh, is that a vein? Whoa. Looks like glass. Like tiny little glass marbles all in a pile. And that's the vein. Bit of color in there. Let's see if we go up here, we can get more color. Very telling color. This is still the top of the leaf, so exciting. This one actually looks quite impressive still at this sort of out zoom. The like main base of the leaf doesn't, but these sort of veins, they're super impressive. Those little glass marbles, I know they're not glass, but they look like it. They're stunning. And then on the back, I think this one's another one where they're like clear and you're getting to see glimpses of the other side of the leaf through the back of it, which is really cool. And I guess the back does have a little bit of this coloring in it. There's a vein. It's crazy how all the veins have very similar texture. Like you can very much so tell that it's a vein compared to the leaf. I think all of them have this very straight kind of highway kind of thing. And I guess that's kind of what veins are, highways of the plant bringing stuff to different parts of it, but so odd. Zooming out of the back of the leaf doesn't really help you that much. It's like the same thing but smaller. I mean, it's still really beautiful. I think that is stunning. It looks like glass, and I like the pink bits in it, which I wouldn't have gotten pink bits from this. I don't think the back of the leaf is like pink. Like maybe the veins, but not the like just plain back of the leaf. Look at the way it sparkles. Do you see that? It's like glittery. I know it's not focused when I do that, but it's glittery. That is the stem. And a bit of an aerial root there. Very fuzzy aerial root. Good job. Good job, aerial root. I didn't realize the stem was like spotted like this. But it's cool. So this is number 9. And you can see right off the bat I've got a bit of a vein there. And some potential color changes throughout the leaf. Lots of color changes. Ooh, that's very, very stark sort of white there. But then like patches of darker green around there as well. Going out a bit further, you kind of get more of that variegation information there. And those dark spots, so odd. I didn't quite realize how tiny the variegation got, if that makes sense. Like I know it's speckly, but not that speckly. And then the bottom of the leaf looks exactly the same. The sort of crystal structure, a vein, bits of lighter and darker. It looks very, very similar to the top, which is it could be a hint, like they are very similar on the top and bottom. And then sort of let me get, that's the vein on the back. You can see it's quite pronounced and three-dimensional. Zoom out a bit. There you go. Very 3D vein. Very stripy stem. Again, that's not pests, it's pesticide. Because look at that stem. It has really great genes, this plant. Very nice stripy stem genes. I really like the way that looks. That's fun. So that's plant number 9. Thought I would put a bit of color in here. Whoa. Do you see that? I didn't realize it wasn't solid. I don't know if that's a clue or not, but I thought the pink on this plant was very solid, but it doesn't seem to be. It looks like, how interesting. It looks kind of like the composition notebooks, how they had like very sort of marbled texture. How odd. So there's a vein. I'm not actually, I guess I am quite zoomed in. This one's got very, very small sort of crystals in its leaves. Because if I zoom out to where I have been on others, they look tiny. There's some little speckles of it there too. Cute. And then the back of the leaf is surprisingly almost entirely green. Even though there was some pretty heavy spots of pink on the top. There's the middle vein. Again, it's quite small, but kind of over the course of the whole back of the leaf, there's not really much difference in anything. It's all very same. Let me get a close-up on the stem, because I think this is going to look cool. That's awesome. Look at that color. Almost like wings of a dragonfly or something. So cool. I'm gonna do 2 more because there's ones that I just wanted to look at. So these are bonus, so we're only gonna score ourselves out of 10, but there's more opportunity to get more pointies. So let's all get a little bit of extra credit in here. So again, this is the top of the leaf. Pretty green. A little bit of dust on there. There's a vein. Sorry, the plant is dusty. I've just got a dusty home. Let me zoom out a little bit, see if we get any more information there. The veins are lighter than the like meat, the flesh of the plant. The veins are a lighter color, but the back is where I think this plant is truly going to shine. So you can see the color in there. Not what you'd expect from the top of a leaf being perfectly green. And there's like, it almost looks like scaly shape veins on it that are really dark comparatively. I was not expecting that, and I know what the plant is. So when it gets closer to the vein, it does get a bit more green. But like, look at the coloring. I love that. Oh, this might also be quite interesting. This is the stem. Whoa. That's the stem. So that's the stem a little bit more zoomed out. But I feel like that's a pretty big hint. Who knows? Okay. So that was 11, and then this is the final plant. Plant number 12. And I think that I really wanted to look at this one under the microscope. I just think it's so odd. Like, that's the color of the plant, and then it's got a texture to it, obviously. A little forest of sorts over the whole leaf. Let me see if I can get the vein in the middle as well. Is that the vein? I don't know, but it's a very concentrated bit of fur, almost. I think that is the center vein, because it is a little bit lighter. So there it is, zoomed out a little bit. I feel like you kind of knew that's what it was going to look like zoomed out, so that's not very much of a surprise. And let me see if I can do the back of the leaf. Whoa! 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 So it's got a very similar texture, but the base color isn't green anymore. It's like a more purpley, similar to the color of the little hairs. Oh my god, that's such a cool picture. I think that's so cool. Oh my god. Those are so weird. Look at that. Oh my god. Okay, so let's go to the vein. Very like pronounced vein with hair on it still, but the vein is light green on the back. This plant is extremely fuzzy, if you could not tell. The entire leaf is like covered in these tiny little hairs. And then the stem, surprise surprise, is also covered in the tiny little hairs. I feel like this one's pretty obvious. I just really wanted to see what it looked like under a microscope. Oh, it looks so cool. The hairs are almost like translucent. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my god, okay, so that was plant number 12. Alright, so that is all of the plants. I'm going to put like an image of each one of them up on the screen again, just as a little reminder, and let them sit for 10 seconds or so. So here they are all again. If you need a reminder of any of them, put your guesses in now. Put them in before I gave you all the answers, and then we can lock them in, and then you'll know whether or not you were right. So yeah. So the first plant, if you guessed the Hoya australis lisa, you would have been correct. You can see the sort of variegation that it had in the microscope footage, and I think the like dark leaves are a massive giveaway, the sort of dark new leaves, because a lot of Hoyas grow in with sort of very reddy leaves, but I feel like that was a pretty big hint as to what it was. So first one was Hoya australis lisa. Plant number 2 was a kalanchoe. I'm not totally sure how to pronounce it, but this one that I got from Claire that I put into semi-hydro fairly recently. And I think this is a Kalanchoe farinaceae. I'm not super familiar with cacti and succulent names. I don't even know if I'm saying Kalanchoe right. If I'm not, please correct me down below. But this one had the very like powdery leaves, and like the stem looks like there's snow on it, which was really cool, like very Winter Wonderland-y kind of vibes. And like, but the powder kind of wipes off. I don't know if you're supposed to wipe it off, but I'm leaving it on because I like the sort of bluey look that it gives it. But that was plant number 2. Number 3 was my Cissus discolor. And I think that having the red backs was a very important clue for this one, because they were so dark red compared to the front of the leaf. Like, that's kind of one of the main features of the Cissus discolor. Very cool. Cissus discolor, plant number 3. Plant number 4 was this Scindapsus silverian, but we'll give you like any sort of Scindapsus pictus, argyraeus, satin pothos, maybe even exotica. Not a moonshine, not a trubii, but that sort of classic Scindapsus pictus sort of coloring. You wouldn't be able to tell them apart from a microscope because like you can't show all of the leaves, but this was the one that looked like actual bubbles and glass on the back as well, which was so fascinating. And I think that sort of glass texture is what makes the leaves look shiny in those spaces, because it's reflecting light off in different ways, which I mean, I find endlessly fascinating. So, Scindapsus. Plant number 5 was my Alocasia Polly with the dark green fronts and the very, very classic backs of the leaves. I feel like the back of the leaf is where you really sort of get information on this plant with those sort of veinations. Very, very cool. 6 was my Alocasia Malo. Ignore this leaf, I didn't show that leaf. I just showed this one here, and that was the one that had the really, really cool texture on it, because oh my god, the texture of this leaf is so cool. Very rhino skin, which I totally understand why it's nicknamed that. But the Alocasia Malo. The next one that I thought a lot of you probably didn't know I have is this begonia. It's a Begonia Arabia Sunset, and it has those tiny little hairs on the front of the leaves, and then the backs of the leaves are like pure red, which is very fascinating. I haven't shown this plant a lot. I think I've probably only shown it in like a TikTok or reel. It definitely surprised me. Plant number 8 was this Anthurium. This one is technically a Magnificum expurgatii, but honestly, if you put any sort of velvety Anthurium, I would take that as a win because a lot of them have very similar like leaf textures. I don't know though, it's not quite as dark as the Crystallinum and Clarinervium and even the Guaraquianum is. It's quite like a brighter green, which, I mean, it doesn't matter. I feel like they've got the same basic leaf color. Maybe you got it because it has the pink in there and the pink on the backs of the leaves, which was very unexpected. But there we go, a nice Anthurium. 9 was this beast. It was kind of hard to show, but this was the one with the very marbly sort of variegation in it. And I feel like that's pretty obvious. The tops and the bottoms of the leaves are the same and they're quite leathery. And the stem, that was the freaking coolest part. The stem of this leaf, how like stripy it was, which I know a lot of variegated plants have that stripy stem, but I feel like I don't appreciate it enough. I should really pay attention to the stems of this plant more because it's like very beautiful. Plant number 10 was this Syngonium. Syngonium Strawberry Shake. This was one with the weird pink in it. That like the pink looks solid like this. It doesn't look like it's speckly or anything. It looks very solid. But then under the microscope it looked so speckled. And like the backs of these leaves, even though the front is super pink, the back is all the way green. So very interesting. 11 was a Philodendron verrucosum, which I thought it would be given away by the backs of the leaves. These are what really give you red in here, and if you didn't get it from that, the sort of fuzzy stem that they have. But the fronts of the leaves, slightly less remarkable. I mean, they're gorgeous in real life, but under the microscope wasn't really anything special. Oh, hello. And then last but certainly not least, plant number 12, which I thought was probably one of the most fun ones, is this purple passion plant. Sorry, I've got it in a prop jar with a Deciduea in there, so ignore that. But this purple passion plant, which you really see the purple on the leaf. It's kind of hard to show it when it's so bright here, but when the leaf isn't looking as dense, they go really purple, which is cool. And they were covered and covered and covered with purple hairs. Oh my god, and the backs of the leaves, look at that. How freaking cool is that? And then the stems. So that was plant number 12. So how did you all do? Did you get them right? What was your score? Let me know down below. Did you get as many as you thought you would? Because I feel like a lot of these, I feel like this is quite hard. I tried to give hints where I could, but it's quite difficult guessing all of these. So yeah, how did you do? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed playing the guessing game with me. I really enjoyed it. I love playing with the microscope. If you want me to do more like microscope plant quizzy games, let me know down below. I can definitely make that happen. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to my new patron, Keisha. Thank you so much for joining the Good Growing fam. Thank you all so much for watching and playing along. I really hope that you did have a good time. And I will see you tomorrow for another Plantmas video. See you next time. Bye!